Come in very gently. Whatever quality you bring with you, whatever state you are arriving from, it is welcome here. You do not need to adjust it or improve it or present a version of yourself that is more settled than you actually are. Come exactly as you are. And breathe very slowly, the kind of breath that takes twice as long as usual. Let it be genuinely slow. Slow enough that your body starts to remember what it feels like to not be in a hurry. Stay here. This is the only place I am asking you to be. I want to talk to you about peace, not as a concept, not as a destination, not as the emotional state that arrives after the difficulty resolves and the questions answer themselves and the circumstances finally arrange themselves in the configuration that allows you to exhale. That version of peace, the peace that comes after, the peace that arrives when everything is okay, is real. It is genuine, but it is not the deepest form, and it is not what is available to you right now. What is available to you right now is something different, something older, something that was present before the difficulty and will be present after it, and is right now, in this moment, available beneath it. The peace I want to introduce you to is not conditional on your circumstances. It is not the peace of having resolved the situation. It is the peace that exists as the baseline of your deepest nature. The quality that is present in you when everything else, every layer of reactivity and worry and processing and managing, is temporarily still. I know this sounds like it might be abstract or aspirational or available to people who are further along in their practice than you feel you are right now. I want to challenge that gently, because the peace I am pointing at is not an advanced state. It is not something you arrive at after enough development. It is the most basic thing in you. It was there before the difficulty. It will be there after the difficulty. And with the right quality of attention, it is available right now in the middle of the difficulty, as the ground beneath it. Think about the ocean for a moment. At the surface of the ocean, in certain conditions, there is enormous turbulence. Waves, storm swells, churn, constant movement and noise and power. A person in that turbulence experiences it as the totality, as the whole of what the ocean is in this moment. But go down. Go below the surface movement, below the layer where the weather has its influence, down into the depth of the ocean where the surface storms literally cannot reach. And there is a quality of stillness that is almost impossible to fully imagine from the surface. A vast, ancient, undisturbed stillness. The same ocean, the same body of water, but a depth that exists entirely apart from the surface conditions. You are like the ocean. There is a surface to you. The part that is in the weather, that is responding to the circumstances, that is processing and managing and feeling and reacting. That surface is real. The turbulence on your surface is real. The difficulty you are moving through is real, and it deserves to be acknowledged as real. But you are not only the surface, you are also the depth. And the depth of you, the most fundamental layer of your consciousness, the part that was present before you understood what consciousness was, the part that simply is, without content, without reaction, without the story of your circumstances. That depth is as still as the deep ocean floor right now. Even now, even in whatever difficulty you are carrying, even in whatever turbulence the surface of your life is currently experiencing, the depth is still. It has always been still. It cannot be disturbed by surface conditions because it exists below the level where surface conditions have any influence. This is not a metaphor. This is a description of something real in your nervous system, in your consciousness, in the structure of your actual inner life. There is a layer of you that the difficulty cannot touch. Not because it is not aware of the difficulty, but because it exists at a depth where the difficulty is perceived without being destabilized by it. And what that layer feels like is peace, not the peace of having resolved the difficulty, the peace of being deep enough that the difficulty, while real, while present, while acknowledged, cannot reach the fundamental stillness of your deepest nature. I want to invite you to go to the depth right now, not by suppressing the surface, not by managing the turbulence or trying to calm it through effort, simply by allowing your attention to sink, to drop below the layer of active processing, to move past the turbulence and the reaction and the management and find the place where the stillness lives. It requires only a specific quality of attention, not effort, not technique, just the willingness to let your attention be heavy rather than light, to let it sink rather than hover at the surface, to give it permission to move past the noise into the quiet that exists beneath the noise. Feel it, and not dramatically, not as a peak experience, as the subtle but unmistakable quality of something underneath, the steady, untroubled, ancient quality of a consciousness that is far older and far vaster than the current difficulty, the quality that has been there through every difficult thing you have ever faced. Patient, steady, unbreakable, untroubled at its core, even as the surface moved through everything the surface moved through. That is you. That is not a visitor to you. That is the deepest part of what you are. And the peace of that depth is available right now, not after the circumstances change. Now. Beneath the circumstances, in the layer that the circumstances have never reached and will never reach. The difficulty is real. I am not asking you to deny it or minimize it or perform wellness over the top of it. The difficulty is real and it is in the surface layer and it deserves to be there. To be felt and processed and moved through at the pace it needs to move through. But you are not only the surface, you are also the depth, and the depth is at peace. Let both be true simultaneously. Let the surface carry what it needs to carry. The processing, the feeling, the honest engagement with what is difficult, and let the depth be what it is. Still, untroubled, the unchanging ground of something that has never been destroyed by anything the surface has experienced. The peace is already here, not coming, not conditional, here, in you, in the depth of you that nothing has ever successfully reached. Feel it, even slightly, even just the very faint signal of it, available beneath all the surface movement. That signal is the most permanent thing in you, more permanent than the difficulty, more permanent than the circumstances, more permanent than anything that has ever happened to you or anything that ever will. The peace that passes understanding is not a phrase from a distant text about a state available to the fortunate few. It is a description of what you have always had, what has always been in you, what is in you right now. Come down into it, just for a moment. Let yourself be held by the depth of your own nature. You are, at your core, at peace. You always were.